Hello, good afternoon, and good evening for some of you. We have a few people joined in already. Denise Tutti from Brazil, USMNTSoccercards, Nuno Gomes, 17, Lojas Cromos, tudo bem, Tiago? Who else? Joe Leão, cards. Sorry about today's result, Brian. It was an even game, though. It was a good game. In the end, probably a tie would have been, the more fair score, but it is what it is. Thank you very much. And again, it was a good game, Ryan. So anyway, since we quickly got a few people joining, I'm about to start another live chat. It's been a while since I've gotten one in the books here. But I decided to invite Alec, who is someone that has a lot of good content out there on Instagram and YouTube. If you guys do not yet follow him, do yourself a favor and go ahead and look for USMNTSoccercards. And again, his name is Alec, American guy who does excellent work. I love specifically one of them that is just work that is probably worthy of us getting or paying for that type of information. But once we bring Alec into the chat, we will see. He'll give us more details on exactly the type of things that he does. Let me see if he's on. Yeah, he seems to be on. So let's get started with him, and hopefully he'll connect real soon. Champion of Sport, how are you? RG underscore CR7 Sport. That's my friend from Portugal. Alec, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Making sure that you guys can hear me. My sound was a little low as far as the volume. Let me guess. Are you doing one of yours walking and talking soccer cards?
I replaced it today, but yeah. Basically, I'm in the same sort of vicinity, so yeah.
Okay. So again, thanks for taking the invite. I was just giving a brief introduction on what you do.
Okay.
So and I mentioned specifically, you have three main things that you do with content, not just on Instagram but also YouTube. And I'm going to briefly mention those three things, and then you can go into some more of the specifics.
Okay.
So you see the background, the scenario where Alec right now is one of his typical works that he calls walking and talking soccer cards. And you do that how often? Is it?
So I tried to do it daily in the past, but I kind of fell out of it with the World Cup and just tons of stuff going on. I figure I don't have to talk about it, But I try to do it as often as I can, just sort of when I'm walking, and usually I'm thinking of something, always a little something card related. So it was also a good way because I've numbered them now for like 150, but even when I first got on Instagram, I kind of did them all the time. And it was just a fun way to connect with people and sort of share what I'm thinking. Because obviously, we all wish we had a friend that we could just chat back and forth with, but you got to do it online instead. So
absolutely, we're the ones that appreciate that type of feedback that you give us with always interesting topics that you bring every time you take the walk. Is it in a park, I'm assuming? That you
yeah, so there's like a nice little neighborhood that I'm in right now that's on the water, and then there's another like sort of recreational park that I walk around in.
And what state are you in? Because I see you sometimes with Michigan. Are you in Michigan, or is that?
I'm in like northern Ohio, so along the water.
Gotcha. But did you go to Michigan?
I've been to Michigan here and there every now and then. We went recently for like a football game and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not too far away, like an hour.
So you're northern Iowa or Ohio?
Ohio.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So we just mentioned one of the things that you do, that you contribute, and that is the walking and talking soccer cards. You also do something called now. It seems to be is going to be weekly. You're going to do the PWCC auctions weekly review, or is you still on the bend as far as how often you're going to do that?
I mean, as long as I still enjoy doing them and people like watching them, I'll do them weekly. I really have no plans to change it at the moment, just because I sort of enjoy it, and it makes I guess it keeps me consistent with keeping up on the market and sort of how everything's moving. So I like it, and it seems like other people do too.
Yeah, yeah. I actually listened to. Again, this is not live though, right? The PWCC weekly review.
No, I do it. I do it afterwards.
Right, and you post that on your YouTube channel, which also has the same name that you share on Instagram. Is that correct?
Yep, same thing.
So
There's a link in the bio.
Soccer cards, good. So that's the second we mentioned, and we're going to go to the third topic that you do, which I really like. But before that, I want to make sure that people remember that I'm going to be giving away these 2 cards. And by the way, am I dressed appropriately for this chat? It's not an interview. Some people say. I figured you would once I saw the beanie on you, but I wanted to make sure that not only would I bring on as a giveaway, these 2 obviously U.S. men's and women's national team cards related. One is a gold standard number 2. What is this? Number 149 of Miss Rapinoe, and then one of our favorites, Gio Reyna. This is not his rookie card, but nevertheless, it's a nice Topps Finest, and I think people will like. And at the end of our chat, I'll ask a question regarding something that we discussed in our chat, and somebody's going to be the lucky winner for this. So let's go to the third of your contributions with the nice content, and that is my favorite, your PSA pop report for soccer cards and stickers. Now, how many players is it that because you started just a few, and now it's built up to how many players that you do this?
So I'm not sure exactly the number, but just guessing, I'd say like 50 to probably around 50 players and like 4 rookies or so each. So like 200 lines or so in total. Okay.
So, and again, I kind of gave it a little summary by calling it the PSA pop report for soccer cards, soccer stickers. That's basically what it is. Do you want to go into more detail as to, and now I understand you've changed not the format, but the frequency at which you review this data and you share it with us, which to me at some point is something that is probably worth us, like soccer card collectors or investors should be paying for this information at some point, but don't get any ideas.
If I could do it much better, then I could feel justified in doing that. But for now, it's just a fun little Excel sheet, and basically it started off as just something I did on my own, just to sort of follow it and all that type of stuff. But then I figured, if I'm doing it, and realistically, the soccer cards market is big enough where I'm not competing with a lot of people, so we can all sort of do our own thing. So I didn't mind sort of widening it, and last year felt like a really good time too, because the way that pop reports were growing, it was just a very big question mark for a lot of people in terms of how much of this stuff's out there. I feel like that's kind of what we've seen lately, where everyone just loves numbered stuff because it gives you some sort of certainty. And so I guess that was my way of sort of giving at least a little bit more certainty on something that was pretty unclear. But now that PSA sort of gotten back to normal, and so is grading and prices and all that, I feel like it's probably better to do it less often, because now it's kind of just, who's sending in what each month, and it's a bit random, like throwing darts. So I've lowered it a little bit, but it'll still definitely be a consistent thing.
Yeah, I love to check the numbers on specifically, 6 players. Obviously the Messi and the Ronaldos, because I have a good amount of some of those rookies, but also I like to see the Mbappes, the Haalands, those numbers changing constantly because they're newer cards and so on, and then Eusebio and Pele. I'm just going to warn you, your next report on that, which should be in about 3 months. I want to warn you, you're going to be seeing a little change on the 1961 Sociedad Eusebios, and that's because I just recently submitted like 2 or 3 of those match books, and I personally know someone that wants to send another one. So once you see those numbers jump and the percentage increase, you'll probably know that some of it comes from me. So don't be surprised at that.
Yeah, it's funny. You can match it up sometimes.
Exactly. Actually, I don't know if you recall, we spoke about one player and his rookie that for some reason, I think the last one you did also still shows pop report of 0, and that is the Mundi Chromo Sergio Ramos.
Oh yeah.
The foil though,
Hmm.
I'm really surprised. Am I right? It's still at zero because I think I
Yeah. No.
submitted one just recently. It's not yet popped the gray, but it's gonna happen soon. But it's at this time it's still zero.
Yeah. No. I've always thought that was weird that that's been at zero, and then I saw your comment the one time about it may be going up, and I kept waiting, but I still haven't seen it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've been on the lookout.
It's on one of my most recent submissions, so I'm just waiting. I believe it's the one that I sent in early November. So you did say that one thing you've been noticing is leveling off of the amount of obviously these pop reports on these rookies, and that means obviously the submissions of these cards have lowered. We're going to have to expect some type of a little bit of increase though, because PSA did lower the rates of the price per card for these submissions starting in November. So you're gonna have an expectation that these pop reports will increase a little bit too. I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah. I guess the one that I see that. I mean, I guess if you sort of tier out the market, sort of like the $50 to $200 stuff, that's where I'd be, I guess, the most concerned in terms of pop rising, because realistically, if you're over the $500 marker, so I mean, or 2 to 500, you probably would be submitting anyways, even up until now. So sort of, the non-elite, like the non-best of the best players, I'd be definitely more interested in at that point and seeing how those move. And I think that would provide a lot of insight if you follow those markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I took a few notes on of things that I want to either ask or figure out your opinion on. Card Ladder, you obviously have you have a monthly subscription with them because of all the data that you also share with that. And for those people that don't know what Card Ladder is, can you give a brief explanation to them? I understand it's something like $15 a month, but if you buy over a year, you probably save a little bit. How useful can Card Ladder be for somebody like me who is probably now selling more than buying, or someone that's looking to start investing in soccer cards specifically?
Yeah, I think Card Ladder, even if you're just getting into the market and you're not even looking to spend, I think it's a useful thing at least to have for a month, just to go back and look at all the history of cards and look at the prices and sort of have some sort of understanding of where this all has been. Beyond that, for soccer people, I personally got it more so for just content side of things, making videos, because it makes it very easy on my end to, display changes and stuff like that. But for the average, soccer person like you and me, I'm not sure it's terribly helpful, because you can find all these prices on PSA site if you go to the APR and look back, so you can do a little bit of work, and they just miss so many players. I did the index video, and that's sort of just, I guess epitomizes what they do wrong. But yeah, I mean, like looking up R9, he has nothing on there. Like Zidane has nothing on there. Probably Eusebio, I'd say, has nothing on. Like, they're just missing a lot. And even Messi, he doesn't have the Este sticker on there. Like, it's some pretty basic things, but it is a great site if you're outside of soccer, because they have, all the cards you could ask for. They have graphs, they have different grades, they have like the pop count graph. I mean, it's amazing, but on the soccer side of things, it's lagging.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Card Ladder is actually something that falls within the Collectors Universe umbrella. They purchased, I believe it was sometime last year. So you would think that they would obviously spend a little more money on this app, which is very useful, considering that they are, by the way, I got confirmation from Nat Turner that the Jersey City, for all of us that live in the East Coast, that have been questioning as to when would it be official that one can drive, our submissions to the new Jersey center, which is right in Jersey City. I got confirmation from him just 2 days ago that they are planning on opening that facility in April of this year. So as of now, I think they're only accepting, I want to say pop figures, but he did. And that's the great thing about Nat Turner, because he will, give feedback, and he answered within 12 hours saying that Jersey City will be open for submissions. Now, I don't know if that will mean that they're going to be grading on site, but at least you'll be able to, drive over there and just send things over instead of shipping things out, because that can be, sometimes a little hectic, right? But I got a little bit off track. But again,
fine.
so Card Ladder, that was your opinion about it. But I do agree about the fact that they do miss a lot of stuff. So we're just hoping that they'll invest a little heavily into those databases by hiring some people that look at these, cards that are very needed. One thing you also mentioned, I forget it, I believe it was in your PWCC review. You mentioned that at least the soccer prices, they're still dropping. But you did notice, and you mentioned this before, that supplies are also dropping. And again, this is based on your research that you do with the number of rookies that are popping up on the PSA report, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it's a mix of just following the pop reports, but then also, even before the weekly videos, I look at every PWCC auction, the monthly, the weekly, the Goldens, and all that stuff, and you can kind of get a gauge for, how much of each thing you'll see out there. Like, there was a time that we saw a lot of Palorexes there for a bit. I don't really see a lot of those, and we sort of go through these types of cycles. And just in general, I don't see as many big ticket soccer items going day after day. Now, part of that's that they're not big ticket anymore. Or maybe people just aren't as willing to sell because, the market's not as hot as it was. But yeah, just generally speaking, it seems like there's less available, but also obviously the, demand is waned too. So
right. One thing that a lot of us had spoken about as leading up to the World Cup was that we were hoping that, there would have been a little bit of surge of those prices leading up to it. And specifically, if Argentina managed to take the win, that the Messi cards would go up. And they did a little bit. But are you finding also that at this point they've leveled off again? Or what's your take on that?
So, yeah, the Messis, I follow the Messis because I have some Messi rookies, not like, not a ton, and I'm not actively looking to trade them all the time. But whenever he won, you could tell that along the way, there was a good little building up. And then once he won, there's enough out there and sort of, I guess, flippers' hands, you would say, that, supply then met demand and we go back down. I'm not sure what exactly that says about the market because realistically, the World Cup makes Messi more of a GOAT, but we should all have basically known he was a GOAT before that. So I can see why it's not going to, roar the market to a new degree. But yeah, I think just generally speaking, the people that are getting into soccer cards now, and I think that this is part that's underrated, probably aren't going to be spending big money as soon as they get in, Like the American people I see getting into soccer cards this go around, not the Prism boom of what happened before, but the newer cycle, they're opening sticker packs, they're buying Prism, they're doing the silly things, but they're not running out there chasing, spending big money. So I just think it was too many people that expected some sort of quick World Cup return compared to realistically the progression it takes as a collector to buy those things. Like it takes time.
Sure. I agree with that take on it. One of the other things that, every time we talk about Messi cards, we do have to bring up Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And with his move to Saudi Arabia, what do you think is going to happen? It's the Saudi League. His idea, he claims it's not just about money, but it's trying to help that country in building up, a better league. We're already hearing rumors about potentially a lot of other players, going to the Saudi League. We hear about Pedro Busquets from Barcelona, supposedly had been offered big money to go play for the same team as the CR7. Was that a bad move by, at least for the soccer cards? I'm not talking about his career. But obviously they go hand in hand, right? Do you think that was a bad move for CR7 to go there as opposed to, for example, coming to the MLS? Is the Saudi League comparable to the MLS as far as, level of play?
Yeah, I would say level of play. I don't think so. But I think in terms of his cards, it's not ideal for short term because a lot of people that probably, were holding his cards for short term probably were hoping, he stays in the Champions League and does some things that are worth talking about. If you go to the Saudi League, it's not going to be as notable, right? But I think for the card market long term, a Middle Eastern sort of appeal is something not a lot of players have and not a lot of card markets have. And so to be able to have that in masses, I don't know, how they feel about it right now, but I'd assume it's along the same lines of, how Americans felt about David Beckham coming over and sort of how that changes the way you look at everything. And so over here, I mean, David Beckham and like Ibra are really big names and, ones that would be recognized way more than people are actually better than them. So I think long term for his cards, I don't think it's a bad thing really, because it's just expanding his collector base and expanding it's expanding to an area of the world that a lot of people want to. But I think short term, it's it lowers all the noise of what can happen at the end of his career, which might be a good thing because it wasn't going great. So maybe it sort of cuts the bleeding and stops it.
Yes, I agree with that take also. And just a reminder, some people obviously, and we appreciate Case Hit Hunter, it was actually asking a question. You guys are free to answer, or to actually come up with some questions that you want either Alec or myself to give our take on it. This is a good question, and I think he answers the question right at the end of it. He asked, we'd love to hear your thoughts on why legends like Pirlo, Iniesta, Xavi, and Kaká, midfield general type players don't get as much love. Is it because they don't score goals? And I think you hit it right on right in the button. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it takes time for those types of guys, because a lot of the people because the soccer market's so new and so small compared to everything else, you can sort of pick from the best basically. Like you can go out and collect Messi and Ronaldo and all these guys because they're affordable to an extent. And so when that's the case, you don't really collect the next tier. But I think once there's more sort of hardcore collectors, I think that's where the growth for those guys will be. So it'll be more organic than the market I think we've seen lately.
Right. Let's go on to another topic. I think it must have been on your PWCC Weekly, if I'm not mistaken. You also mentioned something I also do agree with you. You mentioned that you like the Haaland cards, and Erling Haaland, for those of you who don't know, plays for Manchester City, scores tons of goals. And by the way, I did follow a little bit, and I put some of my comments on Discord on our friend Andre Soccer Study Discord. For those of you that don't know about it, a lot of good stuff is shared on Discord. And somebody was mentioning how Haaland is already, top 20 or so, and so is Mbappe. Obviously, I don't agree with that. They can at some point develop into those type of players, but they need to go a few years of consistency and winning titles, championships, and personal trophies and so on. But you did bring up something that I definitely agree with, and I say a lot of times, and I try to invest in Haaland cards with the Salzburg kit. And you did say that narrative should be more massive or discussed than it already is. And why do you say that?
In terms of progression through a player's career, at least the way I see it, I guess with the way Americans look at it is they probably see Salzburg and think like, that's basically playing in a minor league. And so it's not that much of a difference. But in terms of collecting soccer, that's very much on a somewhat level playing field, and a decent collectible has a standing history. And so to be able to see him graduate from Salzburg to Dortmund, that's a big step. So for me, I feel like those should be valued. If Messi's a bad example, but say Messi was somewhere before Barca and he had one rookie card that had him in a different kit, that'd be beloved. Like people would fawn for that. So to think that Haaland isn't the same thing, I think it's more so investors not wanting it to be a thing. I think enough people sort of have enough money in Dortmund stuff that they just they push different narratives. But at the end of the day, it's very much a differentiator in a market where it's hard to have differentiators. Like ultra modern, there's so much stuff that how is yours special, and that seems pretty special to me.
Right, and we cannot mention Mr. Haaland without Mr. Mbappe, right? Because sort of go hand in hand. One thing you said I thought was interesting, and I got to ask you this. You mentioned that you like Haaland more than Mbappe, right? Kylian Mbappe. Now, my question to you is, do you like Haaland more than Mbappe? Is it as a player or, as far as investing in his cards?
I'd say it's more of watching him as a player. I just enjoyed the sort of style and just the poaching, and I enjoy his personality too. I think he's a lot more fun and sort of, personable than Mbappe is. And sort of his, off the field antics, you don't hear a lot with Haaland. Mbappe's always got sort of, rumors going about. And so I enjoyed that side of Haaland more. I think investing side, it does make it a lot more difficult because, I mean, really, he has the worst of both worlds, kind of, where for Norway, he can't do anything, obviously. Mbappe's got France. And then on the other side of it, Mbappe's probably lined up to go to Madrid, which is, one of the craziest fan bases in the world, while Holland's at Man City, which is...
If they still want him, though, especially after last summer,
Oh, yeah. I mean, we see how it plays out, but Man City just doesn't have the rabid fan base that you would want for a great collector market, too. So I think that plays a role.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched one of my lives with our friend Al Jardella, also known as El Rey Collection. I mean, and that's one of the guys, whoever is on here that does not follow El Rey Collection on Instagram, they definitely need to. Probably one of the biggest soccer collectors in the world. And I mentioned, and he kind of agreed with me. And now I'm still in doubt as, if I'll still be true to my prediction, was that I don't think Holland would be scoring as much as a lot of people have predicted. I guess right now I've been proven wrong, but at the same time, you can obviously see that Man City is not the same type of team with him, up front. And the reason why I mentioned that I don't think he would score as many goals as before is because of the style of play. And, the Guardiola style is much more like Barcelona or the tiki-taka and stuff. And I just didn't see or foresee in Holland the patience at such a young age to actually wait for the right moment for that pass that eventually would come. He surprised me in that regards, but at the same time, you definitely see Man City is kind of struggling. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell at times it's definitely much different, but it's also hard because he's going into what was already, a perfect system.
A set team. Mm-hmm.
And so you would think it takes time, which is why it was so surprising when it worked out so well right off the bat and everything was running. And I mean, whenever he went in there, he sort of had the same questions as like people obviously compare Holland to Ibra and Barcelona. We know how that went. So you can definitely see it going south, and it's hard to be that good, but also at the same time, with Man City right now, how long is, everything, is it going to always be Pep at the helm? Are they going to, how's this whole financial thing play out? You never know. So there's a ton of variables to answer for, but I definitely think the Holland card wise has more of a paved path.
Okay. We have Rui Patricio.
Mbappe paved path.
Gotcha. We have Rui Patricio, Collector PC, actually giving his take on, on the Holland situation. You might have a point here. He's saying that's because these cornerbacks are shutting him down. If you have two good center backs to do, he has no space. It could be that they're, after watching so many games of Holland playing, maybe they picked up on something and maybe, picked up on how to better mark Holland and kind of struggling a little bit. But I think he's got tons of potential. He'll come out of this and then eventually score, back to the same way that he was. But it is what it is. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and this is something every time I bring someone on, I like to get their kind of prediction on where the soccer card market, or in general the trading card market is going in the next few months, maybe up to the next year or so. I at least in my opinion, I see a direct correlation between the stock market, the cryptocurrency, and the investing in soccer cards. Do you also see that, or you just think that they're completely irrelevant to each other?
I mean, I don't think they're exact correlations because in 2021, where we peaked at the beginning of the year, crypto still went on a roar throughout the rest of the year when cards still fell. So I don't think it's necessarily hand in hand, but at this point, you do sort of see the same things, Crypto's been pretty stable and steadily declining a little bit. Same thing with stocks, and cards were doing the same thing. And now we sort of see the turn. So it seems very much in line. Going forward, I think you basically just have to predict however you think the next year goes financially, and how well off people will be kind of determines where this goes. But I think that from here on out, it feels at least more to me like a slow and steady rather than the parabolic,
like a
up
spike.
and down. Yeah, which this is much more enjoyable because I can buy stuff without worrying or without the nervous excitement of where things are. It's a much better place to be calm and enjoy. So I like it.
Yeah. Absolutely. If I were a buyer right now, this is the time to do it.
Oh,
you know, and I even took some notes, and I'll bring them in a few up for discussion on prices when you compare to some of the things went in March of 2021 and some of the recent sales. Some of these results, the prices are going to astound you. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you what your thoughts are on how much did this particular thing go in March and compared to what it goes now. So I don't know if you'll be prepared for that, but anyway,
we'll see what I can do.
Discussion.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. In the meantime, we're speaking about the market, but there are some exceptions to the rule. If you're paying attention to the Golden Elite auction of what was it? It ended last week, I believe. Look at how much the Prism Black one of Messi went for. It's a PSA 9, but 160,000. I mean, is that fair market value for that card at this point, considering that he won the World Cup and that's it's Prism to have?
I mean, I guess it seems like it when you think there was a 2014 Prism that was gold that sold for, however much that sold. And it was like hundreds of thousands. I think it was like 500 to 700K range.
I think something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see why the Black Prism would be decent, at 33, 25% of the price. You grab that and he won the World Cup. But I do think that, part of, I guess, sort of where the market is now is while the old stuff isn't selling for great numbers, the modern stuff still is. Like that golden auction, they had, the 101, they had an out of 10 Prism that was gold. They had some Eminence Messi, and they're all doing, 50, 60, I mean, it's a lot of money for cards that were newly printed. We weren't seeing that in soccer before, so it is a good sign despite the overall, sort of where we're at.
All right, great. And Cardsight Collect is actually sharing this. He thinks that the one of one sticker from the Panini World Cup collection this year will do an even higher price than the Prism. And he said it's on the current Golden auction. I knew that at some point that they had taken a picture of it, but I didn't know that it's already on this on the current Golden auction. I beg to differ. I don't think that the one of one sticker is going to go anywhere close to 160,000. I don't think it's going to get to 100,000. It's just my prediction. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I talked to James about the Golden auction, and that video was up like a day or two ago. And basically, we at the end of recording, we realized that the 101 was in the next auction. So then we talked about that. And I mean, whenever there was sort of Instagram debate of would it be $100,000 sticker, and someone said it was like 5K, and basically, where in between do you think that is? I said I could see it selling for more than the Prism because
really.
Well, so I'm not going to predict that, but I say I could see it because, Panini stickers with such a history, and that's the first Messi 101 sticker from the one he won. While you compare that with Prism competes with Eminence, with Optic, with Mosaic. There's just so many to compete with. So I could see it, but I predicted like 45 to 50 was what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I know you did that video with James. I didn't get to watch all of it.
Oh, that's fine.
I did see it was a 1 hour thing.
Yeah, it was a haul.
I'm gonna go back to it and listen to all of it, considering that you mentioned that on there. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna be between 75 and 100,000. And you're saying what, about 50?
Yeah, I said basically 50. I went low. I don't want to get my hopes up.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go with that prediction. We'll see what the results are.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that definitely for sure. On the other hand, and again, every time we mention a Messi card, I like to mention Ronaldo. On the same auction, the same Golden Elite auction, I don't know if you realize there was a black one of one CR7 auto card. It was actually a graded PSA though, but I think the price is definitely very low at 25,000, considering it's an auto card. I don't think it was on. I don't think it was on the card, right?
No, I don't believe so. I think it was sticker. But I mean, it
big
seems
difference
like a fair
though.
price. Yeah, I mean, the Messi, he won. If Messi didn't win, it probably would go much lower. You would think like the Black Prism maybe is 50, 70, maybe. I don't know. So
Gotcha.
It's a bit
we do have our friend Andre all the way from Portugal. He's actually on, and he's saying that he also thinks there's a chance, but it's so difficult to predict. And again, for those of you that joined in late, Soccer Study has a Discord channel. That's definitely something that you should chime in over there. Go check it out. A lot of people. Andre, can you share how many members you have already? Last time I was it like at 800 or something, or at least 500 for sure. And these are guys from all over the world. We have people from so many countries cooperating with, giving their thoughts, and a lot of people even from Holland, from what I recall. So a lot of input there. Andre, if you're still on, close to 1,000. So congrats to that. So last time I checked, it was like 800 people. So go on Discord and join us there. I don't do too much, as you've noticed, but I'm going to try to have a little more time to do that. Now, here's some of the things that I want to bring up and compare what the market was March 2021, which we know was at the high
crazy
level.
mania times.
Unbelievable. Some of the things I like to check on is the wax boxes. I own some Mega Cracks rookie boxes, and I like to check those numbers. So the most recent sale of the Messi rookie box, which is a 2004 Mega Cracks, went, and this is the price with buyer's premium, $14,400. I'm going to ask you maybe you remember. What do you think? There were two boxes that were sold, exactly the same boxes, and they were also wrapped, BBBC.
Were they sold together as a lot?
No. Separate. It was. Okay. There's a big gap even in those two sales, but two boxes sold in March 6th and 7th of 2021. So can you guess how much? Let's go with the highest one. Which how much do you think that same box sold for in March of 2021?
I'm going to guess. Yeah, I'm going to guess 90.
Very close. $85,000.
Yeah.
So you, in less than 2 years, you went from $85,000 on one of the boxes to $14,400. I mean, it's just unbelievable. If somebody had predicted that 2 years ago, to say you're crazy, I'll 5 of those at that price.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable. Let me give you another crazy sale from. The most recent one, and this happened to be one of my boxes. We're talking about 2006 Panini World Cup box as stickers, though. Stickers, all right?
Okay, stickers.
Yeah, 100 packs in that box. In the December 2022 auction, I had one for sale on Golden. It sold for $180. Okay, $180.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess how much one of those boxes, also sealed, sold in the same March 6, 7, 2021. Crazy price, though. I mean, once I saw that price, I was like, whoever bought this doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I followed this market pretty well, so I'd know, but I'll say like 600 would be crazy, I feel like, but it's probably higher, right?
600 would be crazy, and I agree with that. 600, well, okay. Anywhere between 600 and 1,000, it would be acceptable somehow, considering that we were at an all-time high. Would you believe if I told you $4,300?
They must have thought they were getting cards.
And again, back then I saw that price. I was like, I hope this person doesn't think this is the trading cards, because it specifically said it's a sticker box.
Yeah.
This sold for $4,300.
Well, I think that goes. I mean, that kind of shows you what was going on at the time. Was people that probably shouldn't be buying things were buying things, and that.
Yeah. But granted, those boxes at the time were going for about $1,000 too, which is also a crazy price. I have to agree. But I mean, it's just unbelievable prices. All right. From one thing, I want to move to the next thing. And this is something that you've also discussed. The fake stickers. I keep bringing this up all the time, and we keep seeing new rookies. Supposedly fake stickers popping up all the time. After the Ronaldo fiasco, we definitely saw the Messi sticker. And by the way, you pointed out, and if people haven't had the chance to check your video, you do point out on your PSA pop report that it seems like PSA did remove at least one of those PSA 10s, which everyone has mentioned or think that it is a fake, right?
Yeah. No, so basically, I did the pop report and I just updated on my own, and I realized there was one missing. So then I ran it by James in Discord and basically said, do you remember what the cert number was? And then we looked it up, and that cert number's gone. So just doing my own, sort of connections there, it seems that
And
got.
let's remind people that at some point, I think that this was up for sale twice, and the first time it did sell on Golden for $120,000.
Okay.
That's not pocket money by any standard. So
No, it was a big sale, and I believe whenever it was listed, people made enough of a fuss about it that Golden sent it to PSA to check again. To which PSA said it was fine, and then they sent it back for auction, and then it went on auction. And,
right. So what I wanted to bring up is up for discussion is how these the three major companies, grading companies, kind of deal with some of the perception on these fake stickers. We know I have listed it. The BGS is basically the do nothing. They double down on whatever they graded, or it's fine and dandy. There's no issue.
they're terrible.
Yeah, we know PSA out of the three definitely does the best job in trying to do the right thing and definitely kind of pay back for whatever the value of the card that they listed that they graded was for. I know this was up for discussion in Discord. Were you able to confirm that SGC, at least one SCSD is a sticker that they graded? Someone is claiming that they actually paid like for SGC, that they actually paid back to one of the customers $14,000. Do you get any official confirmation on that?
I've never seen that claim that SGC paid that back, but I have seen there was a situation with the Topsun Charizard where basically they were grading Charizards that weren't the rare Charizard they thought they were. They were either altered or fake, or they was the wrong thing entirely. And they paid out on some, sort of big Charizards that they graded. So I know that there is precedent for them doing this sort of thing, but it's by no means, I don't believe, a guarantee, sort of like PSA where.
Right.
PSA says they will. SGC, it's sort of like if they want to, it seems that they will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Soccer Study is saying that I believe that's true too. I don't know. I think I must have seen that on Discord, but I haven't seen anyone formally come to the front and say, "Listen, yeah, I was that one person that got paid by SGC for them having graded a fake Messi SD sticker." So, if you guys know of anyone that actually happened to, it would be nice to share so that we can at least make more of a big deal. Because if that's true, then SGC needs to be, I guess, not rewarded with some good publicity. But
yeah, I mean, there's enough going around where we should be able to hear more about it. I would think.
We're hoping the
same thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, what I was going to say. Oh, speaking also on this Messi SD, I don't know if you saw. Our friend Soccer Study did come up with some nice details, at least about the front of that Messi SD sticker, which it can be found on the Discord channel under the warnings tab or whatever.
Yeah, it's pinned to the
right?
top.
Yeah, I actually asked him yesterday for some of that information, and he did give me the link, and I was checking on it. I don't know if you followed up with this, but I did also share some of the information that I found with the back of the sticker. And that pertains to some of the font that I saw is definitely different on what I think is a fake versus a real one. And believe it or not, the fake sticker, at least to me, seems to be a little more perfect on the font than the good sticker. So if you guys want to check that out, again, go join this Discord, and you'll have a little more helpful insight onto this.
Yeah, I thought I saw the post, but I didn't check it too in depth. But that's sort of been what people go for a lot to determine fakes, has been sort of the text on the back. At least with like the Mark Van Basten one that people were posting, and sort of the other ones, there's usually some sort of minor details in the text where it's a little too thick, or the colors are a little off in certain areas. But yeah, you really got to dig deep to find stuff. Sure.
And not only that, but one would hope that at some point Panini would have already kind of get in the mix and say, "Oh, guys, all right, now this is what it is," because there's so many doubts. They should have already stepped up to the plate and say, "Okay, here's the outline." Yeah, we do. For example, I'm mentioning Ronaldo, the Ronaldo sticker. I opened plenty of packs. I do know that at least on the face, there are definitely two different pictures of him. One is almost like he's very tan, and that's much more rare. But I know that because I did open up a lot of packs, and it wasn't something that Panini shared with us. But I think they have, the responsibility to step up forward, because you're not talking about pocket change again, and definitely, give us some more details on some of this stuff, because we're still in limbo. We don't know what's going on until they do.
It behooves them to not try to do it, because if they make it more secure, all that type of stuff, it only helps their market going forward. So like having this type of stuff still hurts them, despite it sort of being out of their control, I guess.
Mm-hmm. True. But again, unfortunately, not everything is fine and dandy in the PSA grading world. We still see, and our friend the Blake 58 is someone that shares a lot of this PSA gradings, especially on vintage.
The Beckenbauers I've seen lately.
Oh my God!
Every day it's like a new Beckenbauer that looks bad.
Yeah, but he just mentioned or someone did it. There's a Maradona 1977 crack PSA 4 on PWCC.
Yeah, it's ending tonight, I think, right?
I believe so. There's so many different ones up there, and again, we hate those PSA upcharges. Somebody, I want to say it was Empire Sport Club or Soccer Club on Instagram, is complaining about the upcharges that he was charged on, for example, Pele stickers or cards, and they based that on the fact that, he recently passed and so on. Are you kidding me? You're gonna bring up your upcharges because somebody passed away, or you're going by the prices of what a year or two ago were?
They pick when they want to.
They have to fix this,
or they just make up what they think the comp would be, and give you that too if they haven't seen a comp. Right,
and then a common complaint that I also heard months ago, I don't hear as much now, is somebody sends a player from the same set as the Pele, for example. I'm not talking about Garrincha, but somebody even lower than that, and they based their upcharges on that particular card or sticker based on the comps that they've had from Pele. Are you are you serious?
Good luck.
That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, I want to make sure that we're under the 1 hour.
Okay.
I haven't forgotten about giving away these two things. I already thought I never know what type of question I'm going to ask at the end until I actually discuss some things with you. So I already have my question in mind. So just stay here with us a few more minutes, and you're going to get the opportunity to win that. I wanted to ask you something about the upcoming, Copa America 2014, which good news for all us Americans. It looks like that we're definitely going to be hosting that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask you a question about the cards in general. I'm thinking at some point leading up to that, we should hopefully get an upsurge in the market. I want to ask you about actually the U.S. men's national team. And my question to you is, after the World Cup performance, and it's almost as I feel like they left a little bad taste in our mouth. We could have gone further. Is a semifinal presence asking too much for this type of talent and team that we currently have and leading up to 2024?
I mean, it'll be tough. I'm not expecting too much, just because I never expected this in the first place. So this is all just kind of fun and enjoyable. So I'm going to go into it with low expectations. But I do think that, we had our faults against the Netherlands, but we played really good in the group stages, and we looked like a team that could make it to quarterfinals in a World Cup. And if you can make it to the quarterfinals in a World Cup, I think you should be able to make it to the semis and that sort of a tournament. So I don't think it's nothing that we shouldn't dream for, but I don't know if I would expect it. But I think it'll be a really nice sort of, building block going forward if we can have these sort of tournaments, because playing the minnows that we do a lot of the times in CONCACAF and going down to some island just to get our shit kicked in, really, I prefer facing better teams, facing better players, and making our guys better, which I think we're getting to. It still has a long way to go, but I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but are you forgetting about the home crowd factor, though?
Very important. I didn't account for it properly. No, I do think that. I mean, and if some calls can go our way, if we can make that happen, I could see it. I don't know. Hopefully that sort of energizes the fan base a little bit, because I guess playing the friendlies that we have lately and sort of some meaningless games, it's sometimes demoralizing to see the fan base, how, poor it can be. But I think that would, start to maybe build something. I think that would be very good for 2026, sort of getting people integrated into the international competition.
Let's not forget about another important factor, though. This is a Copa America we're talking about. We're not talking about the World Cup. We're talking about maybe 4 or 5 tough teams to get by. I mean, talking about the Argentina, the Brazil, Uruguay, potentially Colombia, Mexico will always be there. So,
Canada,
we won't have the Frances, the Germanys, the Spain, and so on. That's another important factor. That's why I'm thinking a quarterfinal for me is definitely you need to get there.
Yeah.
Semifinal, I'll be happy if we get to the semifinal, even though we would lose, potentially. But at least I say, okay, we've gotten another level. We've been to a semifinal in the Copa America. I think it's definitely very, very interesting.
Yeah, and if you can get a big game, big meaningful game against Brazil or Argentina, I mean, that's gonna get everyone ready going forward. Won't be any bigger games than that for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Anyway, Alec, I'm going to go on, and I don't know if do you want to share anything else with us? Before I forget, when will you be sharing the most likely, your PWCC weekly review? Will it be every Monday? Because they do end is it Sunday nights all the time, if they don't go into any issues with their site.
Yeah. So the first week I upload on Tuesday because I just started. Last week was a delay, but it will be on Mondays going forward. I'll try to get them up early in the morning/afternoon, but that's the plan for sure. But
guys,
nothing much to add. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Sounds good. Listen, guys, so if you don't follow USMNT Soccer Cards, make sure you do after we disconnect from this live on YouTube. He's got a lot of content. He's got over 1,000 subscribers, I checked, right, on YouTube.
Yeah, we're in there.
Very nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All right, so before I let you go, I'm going to ask, and you're going to confirm the answer too.
Okay.
For whoever's going to be winning these 2 cards, Megan Rapinoe and Mr. Reyna. My question is going to be a simple one. And again, the first comment that I see here on my feed as to whoever correctly identifies the answer will win these 2 cards. And I'll check with you guys via messaging afterwards. So the question is, where is actually Mr. Alec, USMNT Soccer Cards? Where did he do this live from? What area of the United States? He specifically said it, and I asked him a second time just to make sure. Where is he doing this live from? In the park, all the way in?
I guess
Let's see.
Guesses. You can check the scenery.
That probably won't help them unless they were with us from the beginning of this live. So hopefully the people that are still here will have remembered. So I'm going to wait another few seconds. Hopefully we'll get someone to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come up with another question. But
yeah, I don't know.
That's
just giving hints.
That's not a difficult. Let's see. We have Joe Leon said Copa America. That is. I feel like besides Argentina and Brazil, should we like to beat any other team in the competition? Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So I'm going to ask again. Where is Alec, doing this live from right now? What part of the U.S.? Soccer Cards _Ireland. He's saying a park in Ohio. No, I'm going to take that answer. I said no to Michigan. Well, guess that's because they saw you with a Michigan sweater. So Soccer Cards Ireland. That's going to be an expensive shipment for me, but that's okay. Congratulations. Yeah, you are right. Specifically, you said Northern Ohio, right?
Oh yeah, I'm in Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
Soccer Cards Ireland. Congratulations. You win these 2 cards, Gio Reyna and Rapinoe. I'll touch base with you via messenger. Alec, thank you very much for this. I don't like to call it an interview. It's just a brief chat. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing some of the good stuff and go over some of the content that you do in the soccer card, world. We really appreciate your time. By the way, who do you have in this Super Bowl?
Well, I appreciate being on. I always love talking cards, so more than happy to do it again. I'll take the Chiefs. I just think Mahomes, hard to beat him, and getting back to another Super Bowl, they have experience. So I think Chiefs all day.
I'm a Giants fan, but I'm going to predict the Eagles are going to be too much for the Chiefs. I think Mahomes his ankle is not 100% yet,
and that's going to be the difference in the game. So
It'll be fun.
for my Eagles fans, that's my take, and Alec takes Chiefs. Again, Alec, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. We'll do this again soon. All right.
Thank you for sure.
Take care now. Thanks, everyone. Talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye-bye.